All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is September 17th, 2018, and the title of tonight's webinar is Using Predictors, Stealth, Wedge, and Time Trader. And we'll even talk about regions tonight. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. All right, bear with me 1 second. I'll show you a chart. Quick quiz before we get started. You're diagnosing your chart first thing in the morning. Left chart. What's the trend? Anybody? Is it up or is it down? Just a quick quiz. Yeah, absolutely it's down. See the lower highs? It's kind of sideways right here, obviously. So we would say this one is stair stepping down, right? So it's definitely looking for shorts. So is this one stair stepping down or is it stair stepping up? See the lines on Lightning 3? Exactly, right? Okay, so let's change this one to up. Now that's the first thing that you want to figure out when you start to trade, okay? You know, occasionally you'll get basically where you get a little bit hungry for a trade, you know, kind of like, just to give an example, Russell today. I'll just go over that one just real quick. You know, we boxed that one in and got a quick long, you know, that might have scalped for somebody, it might not have. It should have, you know, if you didn't use the close bar. If you used a close bar, I don't know if you got a scalp or not. But what was the overall trend on Russell at the time that we took that trade? Anybody? If you look at your charts about, I think it was roughly around 9 o'clock, if I remember right. It was pretty close to the normal news time. Okay? So try to get in the habit of making sure you don't go against the trend. Okay? Because, you know, the whole thing about trading is, you know, they're going to thrust up, they're going to retrace, they're going to thrust up, they're going to retrace. But as long as they're getting higher lows and higher highs, you know, you're still pretty good to go on the trade, right? And that's the whole thing. You know, that's why also that if you do several contracts and you happen to get in on a thrust, you better be able to handle the pullback, because the pullback would be more than likely a higher low than this one, but it might be all the way down within a tick of it. You just don't know. Okay? So, you know, as long as you're getting higher lows, you're still looking for long trades. Just like on Russell today, you know, when we talked about boxing that in, and remember I mentioned it was a phantom, and, you know, we were getting out of a long and you had to basically flip it under midband then, and that wasn't as good of a place to do it, in my opinion. The phantom was much better. Okay? So be sure and diagnose your chart. Really important. Stair stepping down, looking for shorts. To me, if I was looking at this, okay, I would want this to actually either break down below here or get a lower high than up here. You see what I mean? Because this is like a thrust, retrace. So, you know, for this to ever go up on this side over here, I would think it would need to take this out right in through here. You know, and I'd be looking for very possibly something if it did, but until it did, I wouldn't be looking at it. Okay? So, and another thing to do, obviously, is look at your chart itself, because the chart will explain quite a bit. Let me bring a chart over and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now look at gold right here. Notice that it's still in a red background and everything. But does that mean you can't take some decent trades? Let me pop that little gold chart back up here for you, just real quick. Because what I like to personally do, and we like to draw on our charts, and we're going to get into all the different type of trades and everything. But if you draw on your charts, you'd pretty much be drawing a line like right across there. See the top of that swing? You'd be drawing right across here. Okay, and let's see. I'd probably draw one even here just in case it came a little bit lower. Okay, but you can't come any lower than this because then you'd have a lower low. See what I mean? High, low, higher high. That's a higher low than down here. So, you know, if you start stair stepping back down, you're no longer stair stepping back. You're not no longer stair stepping up. So I would be looking for a trade either right in this area here at 1200.5, okay, or as low as about 1200. But if it even took out 1200, it would be taking out lightning too. So on the right-hand side of the chart, you're figuring that more than likely it's not going to take this out because stair stepping up means that it should continue up, and therefore you'd be looking for a trade higher than here. You see what I mean? But you could be looking for a trade exactly right here because they haven't even checked it yet. Okay, everybody see what I'm talking about there? It's pretty important to look at the overall, you know, what's it doing, but then you've got to look to the right side of the chart and look to the left to see where those swings are. Okay, and you'll notice before I even drew those lines, I went ahead and left these lines on the chart. You can put those on, by the way, if you want to on Lightning 3. You just simply go into your indicator, go into Lightning 3, and right down here, it has a high display. You can choose a color, you can choose a dot style, or, you know, whatever you want. And I'd recommend just like one width because it's, you know, when you're scrunching up a chart, those are actually dots, by the way. See there? See when I spread them out like that? Okay. But you can draw your lines, you know, basically with this little tool if you want to. Now keep in mind, it doesn't keep drawing over to the right. I may actually talk to the programmer and see if we can go ahead and do that, because the way this is designed is this one quits drawing when this one starts drawing. This one quits drawing when that one starts drawing. But in a way, you could just go all the way to the right, all the way to the right, all the way to the right, and all the way to the right, which, you know, that would be like drawing, well, not quite a line because you're going to the left also, but I kind of like it going as a line myself, okay, because that's how I draw those lines on those charts each and every day. And so if you were looking at this chart, you'd figure you'd want to thrust up, you'd want to pull back, and you can clearly see you've got a swing right across here. That's where that line is, right across there. See where it says 1200.5, and you got 1200 even, okay? But you got to look at your swing here and say, okay, we got support at 1200, so it can't break that. So I'm pretty much thinking it's going to go just right into this area right here on this 1200.5 area, which is on top of my swing, which is right there to the left. See how it draws it? Okay. Now, I know that that's not talking as much about stealth or something like that as still the way we teach to trade and everything, because what you really want to do on your charts is you want to always make sure you know, if you're getting higher lows and higher highs, you know, do you really want to short it? Well, the thing is, you can actually short, you know, like a phantom or something like that, but just keep in mind that that phantom could go against you too, okay? Because you don't know for sure, you know, exactly what, you know, gold's going to do at that particular time, right? Okay. So, but you do know right this very moment that you're getting higher lows and higher highs, so therefore you're looking for long, right? Everybody see that? Because you can clearly see it if you just look at that chart. Okay. Now, if this was to come down, let's say, for instance, if it came down to 1200, like so, could you look to take a trade? And the answer is yes, right? You could look to take a trade there. Okay. But what we're really looking for is for the background to actually change and to come back and kiss an area. That's your most conservative trade. Okay. And you'll find that those predictors are there quite a bit on those, because it'll thrust up, it'll pull back into a predictor. You can box it in and take the trade. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that so far? Okay. Like, let's say, for instance, you got up and, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning and you saw this, well, this predictor, and you boxed it in and you got your little 10-tick trade. You know, this little predictor here, I'd be a little bit more leery of this simply because it is heading up with higher highs and higher lows. So if I was to take this short at line 7, I would expect it to come down to this line, maybe a little lower, but not any lower than that. Because what are you getting here so far? Higher lows. Okay, so if you got another higher low, where would you think it would be? Well, it would be actually in about this area, wouldn't it? Okay, so if you're going to continue getting higher lows, that's what you're looking for to box those trades in. Now, our software does not change as quickly, and sometimes it changes very quickly as far as that goes. But, you know, when you're more sideways like this and everything, see how this has changed the background? That, and the mid-band has changed to this rose color. So you're kind of looking for these little trades that'll thrust up and pull back. Okay? And that's what we're going to look for. Let's see if this will actually work. We'll do it, and we'll talk about the T and B button on the strategy also. And we'll get into the predictors and the stealth here in just a few minutes too. All right, so let's put Object Trader on. And we're looking for a trade. We already said we draw on our charts, so we're looking for 1200.5, right? Is that where we're looking for, everyone? What says the team? Well, I'd be looking for that. So let's see if we can get a little trade. All right, we're going to do a region. Now, Lewis, on your question, these T and B buttons just simply mean, let's just pretend this is a region right here, because otherwise it'll draw on the prices. But the bottom of your region is the B button, and the top of the region is the T button. And the way we designed this is you can do anything with this box. You can do a long outside. You can do a long inside, which means you would actually fire the trade inside the box. You can do a long inside the bottom of the box, you know, which would mean that it would actually fire. Let's say if it was retracing and you had an area that you wanted to go ahead and get. You want to just see if this will fire? I'll just do it with one contract just in case I'm wrong. But let's just try something here real quick. It thrusted up. It's checking. It should check. It's already checked. See there? If you can draw a line across it and it's already checked, it's probably good. So I'm going to go with this, and we'll try it. Let's do a region, and we're going to do a touch plus. Now remember, if you're trying to fire off the bottom of the box, you're using the B button. Okay? If you're trying to fire off the top of the box, you're using the T button. Okay? So for instance, if I wanted to take this trade, regardless which way it went, you know, like if it breaks out of the box to take it long, or if it bounces off the bottom to take it long, then I'd turn both of those on. Okay? But if I'm really only looking for this trade here, then I'd simply turn everything off, turn that on, and like a touch plus 2, let's just do 2. We can afford 2. Let's see what it does. Now, if this gets within 2 ticks of the bottom of that box, which the box is actually right here at 1200.5, if it gets within 2 ticks and then bounces up 1 tick, it will fire the trade. Okay, if it blows through it, it won't do it. But unfortunately, 1 tick is usually, you know, they hesitate and do 1 tick, so it's going to more than likely fire. It's close. There it is. Okay, everybody see that? Now, was that a good spot to get in? Well, let's see if it's going to go any lower, because this looks like this might go actually a little bit lower. But let's just see. If it bounces off where I thought it was, we drew on our charts correctly. All right, let's turn on the T button, and we'll just add 1 if it happens to break through the top of that box. Now keep in mind, this isn't necessarily a good way to trade. I'm trying to show you how the box works. See how that added 1? That just simply went outside, touch plus 2, and fired a contract. Okay, and I can do that as many times as I want up to my max number of contracts that's set up in Object Trader, right? Okay, this is more than likely going to check this again. They usually do twice. Yeah, you could, sure, look at this. You could actually do inside, touch +2, and add one more if you wanted to. If it comes down there, that is. Otherwise, we're just in 3. Okay? What would make you look bottom at box or top? What determines the thought? Well, keep in mind, Lewis, we're retracement traders, so I'm not looking as much at this breakout as I am the pullback. Okay? Because if this hadn't bounced here at my line, then I'd probably get out of that trade pretty quick, because that would mean it would be going lower on me. Okay? And we might not want that. All right. Now, what I normally do is look to the left to trade the right. So I'm going to look, wow, I'm going to look at the nearest resistance. And I'm probably going to go ahead and take one off at predictor. And then I would ride the rest of it more than likely up to this area here. Okay. And would that turn out to be a really good trade? Actually, it more than likely would, wouldn't it? Because you're drawing on your charts. Now, keep in mind, we didn't do the stealth on this. We did a region because, you know, there was a little bit of confusion on T and B buttons, and I was Skyped on it over the weekend. Because that's a good deal to know about those boxes, is so that you can get in, you know, at the proper place. See how I nailed that trade just literally on the money? And I'd probably put my stop, tighten it up a little bit. You know, you could even take some coin, because if this doesn't take out that high, you know, it could come back against you. Okay, see how it didn't take out that high? It's trying to come, I bet it comes all the way back here. You can just tell it's doing it. See the double top? So yeah, you could take one off even if you wanted to. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do exit on close just in case it comes against me, and I'm going to put it like 2 ticks underneath that swing. Okay, so we can give it some wiggle room. Now, Charles would more than likely, if he got in this trade right here, he'd probably put his stop right at mid-band. Now, that's 12 ticks right there. So if you figure that 12 times 15, you know, that's a pretty good little amount of money. That's what, 180 bucks, right? So we're only at 0. So do we want to give up $180? Now, technically, if you got in here, you should have already scalped it. I was talking, so I didn't. But if you were actually getting in here, you should have scalped it. Okay? Now, keep in mind that your T and B buttons, like I said, can be used. I'm not going to turn these on because we don't want to fire a trade. But let's say, for instance, you got up and you saw that the trim was down and you wanted to go short out of the bottom of this box. You just simply turn that on. Okay? Now, I don't want to do that because this is stair stepping up. We already diagnosed our chart. Gold is definitely in the process of stair stepping up, right? See there? Nicely. See how it came right down to the line? See the lines on the chart? It's going to bounce where it's at, more than likely. It's testing support. Now notice we've got 4 in now because I did have that turned on a minute ago, so it did actually add a 4th contract. Now notice that we're down like 170 bucks. Okay, if you put your stop at mid-band, you're going to be down like 300 bucks. Okay, but if you put it too tight, like say something like that, and leave this turned off, you're going to probably get wicked out. What makes you trade a scalp instead of riding it? I'm not scalping quick enough. If you have time, will you teach on that too? Shane, on your question, basically, if you want to scalp this, you know, then you would have already taken coin up here where it hit that top. And when that bar turned over, you'd probably just take some coin. Because we were green. Okay, but with my talking and everything, we're no longer green. We're down 50 bucks. Okay, but what I'm trying to show also here is if you go too tight on your stop, they'll more than likely wick you out. Now, they might not. We don't know. But I see it all the time where they're just, you know, if they don't hold this support, they'll wick it and then they'll pop it. Yeah, you could actually, well, keep in mind, I didn't get in on a reversal bar. I got in 2 ticks above the bottom of that box by turning on LI. LI is long inside, and that means that I'm looking for a trade at the bottom of the box within 2 ticks of the bottom. That's what I had it set at. And so I got a trade. Okay? All right, by the way, let me show you real quick. where you can find some information on this too. I'll go to our website just real quick. I mean, we can teach this all the way through Saturday as far as that goes. It's not a problem with me at all. I want everybody to know how to use this software. Okay, I'm going to go to my member login real quick. Okay, if you go to your member login, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see these trades. Like, to give an example, I may even change the name of this. This is actually trade types and buttons explained along with hotkeys. This is chart setups for object trader, and this is sniper line. So this is actually right here a good little chart that will show you exactly what T and B buttons stand for. Top, bottom, and I even wrote it out like T long out, B short out. That would mean if you had this T out, short out, that would be the default button. But what if you change this? I can't change this because this is a picture. But if you change it to long inside and short inside, this is the trade you'd get. If you change this to short inside at the top and short outside at the bottom, that's the trade you would get right there. So see, I explained all the different trades you can get with the region box. No, Patty, on your question, when I do webinars, it's not live because basically when it's this time of evening and everything, there's not enough movement to teach. But in the room, you know, several good trades like this were called. I called that Russell trade at Phantom earlier, and it was like an 80 tick drop. But anyway, this will show you how to use those T and B buttons. I won't spend a lot more time on this, but this is pretty important if you want to learn about the T and B buttons. If you want to learn about sniper line setups, it's the same thing. You've got long out, long inside, long outside, short outside, short inside, short inside, short outside. There's 8 trades. Okay. How do you know what to pick? Well, Lewis, on your question, what I have found personally is that 2 ticks seems to work pretty well. Let's see what this one is. This one also goes through what the T and B buttons are. Okay. See how it says long out equal long above line plus an offset. Short out means short above the line plus an offset. That would be the T button. These are all T buttons. This is B button. This will explain all of them. Okay. And if it sounds a little complicated, it's really not, because truthfully, most people just use the default settings and pretty much have it on long outside and short outside, and then turn off the buttons when they don't want to take a short or a long, vice versa. Okay. All right, let's see where we'd probably take some coin at Predictor. And truthfully, I'd probably ride some of this. I'd probably do part of it here, see where that swing is, like that. And that's about all you can see on that chart. Okay, now we're talking about stealth tonight too. You notice that stealth starts telling you when your trend's starting to change to begin with. See how I got this green stealth here? That doesn't mean to fire a trade. But notice the second green stealth you might have if you put your stop under here, because you actually got in earlier than I did. See the second green stealth? And Object Trader will do that by simply doing stealth. And you can even tell it you want the first stealth. You can tell it you want any stealth as far as that goes. That means 0 right there. If you want the first stealth, you just put a 1 here. And if you want the second stealth, you put a 2. Okay, if you wanted a third stealth, you know, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4, there's 5, there's 6. You can tell it whichever stealth you want it to do. Okay, and it'll skip all the other ones, but it'll do it each time if you don't change that. Everybody see what I'm talking about there? Now, by the way, when you got 4 contracts, when you got 4 contracts, you pretty much want to take some coin off the table, because, you know, it's never good to go from $400 back to 2 or 400 back to 1. You know, so, you know, when you get to like a predictor, to give an example, you know, just go ahead and just hit the old sell button and get rid of a couple of them. You know, that way you're protected on your trade, and then bring your stop up just under the swing. And then you can't lose any money on that trade. How many stealths do I like, Lewis? Well, the second one usually, but unfortunately, there's times where it'll just do one stealth, and you'll miss the trade entirely. Then you just wait for the thrust and the pullback. Okay. All right. Now notice that we got long. Why did we get long on here instead of short? Anybody? Because we diagnosed our chart. We saw that gold was stair stepping up, not down. Stair step. Isn't that a stair step? I mean, if you were walking up a set of stairs, isn't that like you're at the bottom, you're stepping up, you're stepping up, you're stepping up, you're stepping up? See? So that's what you're looking for on the right side of that chart. Okay? And you'll notice that our little indicators will tell you that too. Power meter 3. Okay? Even power meter 2 is green right now also. You can see it on this other chart too. It's the same chart. Okay? And let me show you if we can get a predictor trade. I'll teach you that one here just real quick. Let's say that you missed this entire trade. Does anybody see another trade setting up on this chart, by the way? Anybody at all? Because I can tell you right where it's at. Draw your lines on your charts. Have you checked 1201.1? Well, not really, because you came down below it and you didn't touch it there, right? So do you think possibly it'll come back to 1201 or close to it? It looks like it already has to me, because I usually like to get it within 2 ticks, and that already got it right there. Okay? Well, what if you missed that one entirely? Where's the next trade? Anybody? Let's just pretend that you didn't get this trade at all, and we've taught you, you want to wait for a thrust, you want to wait for the mid-band to change, and you want to get a pullback. Because all the instruments do that. Matter of fact, let's just fast forward it and let's see if we can get a little predictor trade. We can go ahead and kill this trade if you want. I mean, it's still a good trade as far as that goes. Now, does everybody see a stair stepping pattern still? See how you're stair stepping? So where could you put your stop on this? If you wanted to really make sure that you gleaned as much out of this, because we don't know, is this going to go way up here? We don't really know that. You got to actually look at the chart and say, okay, well, where could it go? Well, a fib from here to here, that looks pretty close already. That's like 38%, right? There's 50. There's our line there at 1205. So, do we want to start protecting some coin? Well, not necessarily, because guess what you're getting? You're still getting a stair stepping up. Okay? And as long as you're getting a stair stepping up, I personally like to stay in a trade. Okay? Now, you don't have to go all the way back to mid-band, because I'm here to tell you that from the top of this to the middle of this, that's a lot of give back, even on one contract. And we've got 2 on. So if we went from here to mid-band, we get stopped out, right? But we'd also lose $480 of our money, right? So we don't want to do that. So what we want to do is we want to look at our little stair step module here. That's why we designed lightning. Where is lightning right now? Well, let's draw it from here. So still going to be the screen color. I forgot to change that. But you can see the swing is here and the swing is here. Okay? So I'd probably put my stop right here, actually. And more than likely, if this double topped, I'd take one of these contracts off. Okay? But as long as it's stair stepping up, if you want to stick with a trade, you certainly can. Okay? What you're looking for, if it decides to go the opposite direction, is you're going to get a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, and it's going to start taking lightning out. And you'll see it every day on your charts in real time. Let's see if this one, if it'll do it. It may not do it here, but it'll do it. Let's see if we can find out. There's a double top. Still looks okay to me. That bar's trying to close up. See if we can stay with it. I'll show you right where you can get out of this trade. Okay, let's slow it down. Now notice here that you've got lightning on your chart. See the swing right here? See that swing right there? Now that didn't print on a 2, but it will on a 1. See there? So that's your swing. So if this is stair stepping up over here, then if we take this out, is it stair stepping up any longer? Anybody? Would it be stair stepping up any longer? I would say no. Right? Because if it starts stair stepping down, that's when you want to get out of it. Okay? And we've got a tool built into Object Trader for that, and that's called Power Meter. Okay, so let's say I've got 2 in here, and I say, you know what? I'm going to get out if this goes to Power Meter 1, short 2, which means it'll take my long 2 off. It's not going to reverse it because I don't have the reverse turned on. But if this gets a Power Meter red, I can save some of my coin. Okay, because I don't want 2 contracts going from here to here. That's 24 ticks. That's $480. Okay. Now, does that mean that we're totally through and we're not going to get another trade? No, but it does mean that you get out at a better time. Let's see if it did it. It just looks like it wants to me. Anytime you get that 3 candles down, you're probably going to get stopped out. See how it just bounced? Let's see if it'll bounce and take out that top. With that feature right there, though, it'll take us out automatically if that closes below that line. Now, granted, we're still giving some back, aren't we? Because we got 2 left. But what if it bounces right here and goes up 50 ticks? That's a possibility too, right? Is it going to happen? Well, we don't know yet. We just don't know. But if it takes us out, it just takes us out. I don't care. Looks like it's going to get us. See how lightning? There you go. You just stair step down. All right, now let's pause this for just a second. Let's go back to our other chart, and y'all tell me where we're going to get in this one. Let's draw on our chart. Let's get rid of the lines. We don't need them anymore. And let's look and see where they've already hit. There's a line right there. They've not quite tested that, have they? Have they tested this one here? It looks like it to me. Yeah, see there, thrust, retrace, and it's higher. So yeah, they've checked that one. So where do you think, anybody, that they're going to check? Now, if they don't, granted, you know, we're going to not stay in that trade very long at all. But if we're diagnosing our charts in real time, what do we got here? We got a high, we got a low, little chop sideways, got a little higher high, a little higher low, and stair stepping. But this is actually your identified swing to me, because you're basically making a channel. You're starting to make a little bit larger channel. Okay, so if they come back, I'd be looking for this trade. Let's see what it looks like on the other chart. 1201.10. 1201.10 right here. See, I haven't checked it yet. Okay, you want to see if it comes down there and gets that? So let's, which do you want to do? Do you want to do stealth or predictor, or which one do you want to do? Because to me, when I diagnose my charts, I want to do right where I draw my lines, if at all possible. Let's see if it gets down there, and I'll just hit a market order if it does, but there it is. See it? Now, if you were thinking, wow, this thing could keep heading down, you got a high, you got a low, you got a higher high over here. Where's your identified swings? Right there. Okay, so if they come and check this again, they're not heading up any longer. We need a higher low than this. Okay, so when we diagnose our charts and everything, you know, when we draw our lines on our charts, it came a little bit below that, but if it pops back up above it, could you actually get in the trade? You can use this little deal right here like a region. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Remember, a region is actually just a box, basically like that. And you can still do the TMB buttons and everything. So for instance, if I was to do this predictor right here with long inside, predictor, see predictor, touch +2, long, I'd fire the trade right as it came into this little elliptical right here. If we don't run out of elliptical. Now that's the only thing about predictor that you got to be careful of, because we may see we're actually outside the edge of predictor. Let's see if it fires it, just for the fun of it. I'll fire it manually if it doesn't. It's bouncing where we thought it would. Hadn't bounced yet though. It fired. Okay. See what I was talking about, the TMB buttons? Now, could I add if I wanted to at the top of the predictor? I'll have to hurry to do that, but let's just see if we can. We'll just add one if the top of the predictor goes out. And we may have run out of time for sure on that. See how the predictor is way back here? So more than likely you're not going to get that add-on. Let's see if it does, just for the fun of it. I don't think it will. No. I see it already have it. Okay. Look at that trade though. Now, did we diagnose that chart exactly right? I'll tell you what, if you will learn to do this little chart right here, you know, if you have to print it, go ahead and print it. But if you can see it without printing it, you can still get some great trades, okay? Because notice how we drew on our chart, we knew exactly where it had already been. We knew if it was going to head up, we need what? Higher lows, right? So we're looking for higher lows off of that swing. Now, it tried to check this one, see over here, this next level down, but notice that it had already checked it here, so it didn't need to check it again. That doesn't mean they won't check it twice, but usually as a rule, you're going to get just a couple of ticks off that previous swing. Now, let me ask you a quick question. If you were trading this and you said, you know what, Gary always teaches that this could go either direction. All right, let's just pretend you're not in a trade. What would it take to change this to a down direction? Anybody? Because it's pretty clear. You've got a high, you got your low over here. See your high, your low. You know, keep in mind, this is sometimes noise like this, but this is a high, that's a low, that's a higher high. So to me, if they took this out right here, I'm looking more than likely trend change. Everybody see that? And if they don't take that out, then they'll continue heading up. Now look how nicely we've made money on that chart. Now, if you wanted to stay in this trade, you know, with the gusto, to give an example, this looks like a pretty good little thrust and retrace. Now, what I like to do when I see this happen is I draw on my charts. And let me show you what I'd be drawing. You've got a thrust retrace. So I'd be drawing this, this, and this. Just like we do in the room. Look to the left to trade the right. Got a little set of swings under here also. So I'd probably want to protect some coin at one of those. Something like that. And let's just see if this actually does what you think it will do, because we draw on our charts every single day. I'm going to fast forward it. It's going 500 times. Double topping. Are you scared of it yet? Where's your next trade, anybody, if it pulls back? Look at that. And by the way, when it's moving like that, you can move your other target if you want to. See there? You just nailed that one. Now your last target, you can go ahead and just get it out of the way. Where's your swing? It's right here. Could you put your stop there? We've got a tool for that even. Lightning. That's lightning 2. So hit your space key. It looks to me like lightning is right there, right? So you could simply put your trail, engage, and it'll engage it right there at that lightning. That hit the top of our box, anybody? What do you think? Now, will it go higher? Probably. But see how our tools will keep you in the trade too? See how I've got the lightning swing picked out. I can move my target out of the way again even. If it takes out my lightning 2, it'll take me out of the trade. Lightning 2 will keep moving up as long as we draw lightning 2. That's a little weak of one, so it's not drawing it yet. There you go. See, it just kicked up there. Our trail stop's a little bit more conservative. Will it take us out? What do you think? Anybody? Just looks like it just did. And we just missed the next trade because you can see that it just bounced off of mid-band. But let's look at this and see. Let's diagnose our chart. Let's pretend you're not even in anything just yet. Let's diagnose our chart. We got a line all the way down here, don't we? What is that, 1203.70? That's more than likely going to change trends by the time it gets down there, don't you think? So, if your line's all the way down here at 1203.70, you got a high, you got a low, you got higher highs here. If they take this out, they're no longer heading up. Everybody see that? So, would we want to pull all the way back to here? No. No, because see, we'd no longer be trending up. So if we quit trending up, what are we looking for then if it happens to break that? Anybody? You could be looking for a short, couldn't you? But it would have to break it and what? Pull back into mid-band, right? So let's see, we're at about 10:04. Let's see if it does that at all. I'm going to fast forward it. We may not get the trade, but I want to see if it does. We've drawn our line. Let's go on our other chart, 12:05.30. Let's draw our line at 12:05.30. Yeah, that's way down there. See, so if it takes out any kind of swing, see how it's starting to get a high, low, lower, high, lower, low? Are you ready to short it yet, anybody? I wouldn't until it retraces. Let's see if we can get another line drawn on the chart. There's your line. See it? Now, we don't have the line drawing, but if it takes this out right here, could you short this? Anybody? Let's see if it works. Stair stepping down, stair stepping down, and we simply draw lines on our chart and see where the line is. So this was a low, high, higher, low, higher, high. Technically, you could short it under here, but that's what I call minor support. I don't short those. I look more at these larger ones, simply because if you look at the larger ones, they're going to see if this bounces off this or if it takes it out. Let's look at our chart. See how that came almost right to that? See, if you were trading this with your, well, we've already got stopped. We didn't get our target moved in time. But everybody see what this did? This broke down and it pulled right back into this same area and kissed it. Now, will it kiss it exactly? No, unfortunately, if it would, we'd all be billionaires. But notice that it does thrust down and it will pull back. And if you draw your lines on your charts, that got within a few ticks of it. So if you took that little trade as a rollover, you would have had a trade. All right. Now that you're changing trends on the chart, where's your next trade? Anybody? Anybody at all? Let's draw on our chart and see if we can nail that one. We're going to go back to our gold chart, get rid of the lines. Where's resistance on this chart? Anybody? It's pretty obvious, right? So if you get within this little area right here, would you be looking for a short? And the answer is yes, right? It thrust down. It retraced almost to it, but it hadn't come to it. And a lot of times they will come to it, but they'll give you that first little trade first, and then they'll retrace to it. Let's see if they do that. 1207.80, is that what that is? 1207 even. That's 1207 even. All right, so let's see. We're going to draw a little box here and just see if we can get a trade. Well, you want to do a predictor on it, or what do you think? Let's do a predictor on it. Now, on a predictor, by the way, the bottom of the little predictor is the B button. The top is the T button. You can also tell it you only want shorts by turning this on. This will actually set to where it only looks at the bottom of it instead of the top. Okay? In a short, and vice versa on a long. The reason for that is so that you can actually get this trade. Let's say, for instance, if it comes in this area here to this area right here, looking to the left to trade the right, this looks like a little sweet spot to me. Something like this. But let's see where predictor tells us, and we'll try a predictor trade. But we won't just take it willy-nilly unless it hits within like a couple of ticks of our line. How's that? Let's see if we can get it. Well, actually, we ran out of time. It's 3 o'clock. Too late for that trade. Anybody got the regular chart? Did it come back to here? Because I don't have anything but market replay, and I only went to 3:38 in the afternoon, and it paused it. So we're out of data. But if anybody can tell me, did it come? Let me just draw a box, and I'll tell you where I think the trade set up. Let's look at it. That's 1207 even, and that's 120. Let's see, 1207, and no, here's 1207 here. So our trade is going to be right up this area right in here, because I haven't checked it yet. Anybody tell me if it got in that area right there and rolled over? It would have to be after 3 o'clock. It came to 1206.80? Really? Okay. Well, then it did what we said it would do. And how did we catch that? We diagnosed our chart, and we know where it's going, because these are good support and resistance lines on these charts. You know, so if you were seeing this without all the prices on the chart and everything, wouldn't you think a predictor would probably draw in this area? See there? See where that line is right there? That's more than likely where our trade's at. I don't have any way to turn it on, though, because I ran out of data. But everybody's saying it came to 1206.80 and rolled. So there it is. Okay, now let me back this up just a little bit, because what we're going to do is we're going to look at RTY today. And let's see, we basically got in a trade on RTY. That one retrace, I believe, was around 9 a.m., something like that. Remember, we missed that monster move? Let me show you how to catch that monster move, but you got to be watching your chart. If you're trading oil, gold, or something like that, you're going to miss it. Okay? Let's see, how do I change the color and opacity of the predictor ellipses? Jonathan, on your question, on Ninja 7, all you have to do is go into the indicator on predictor right here, and see you got all kinds of colors. Now this is the color that I use on this black chart. Your colors are different than this on your other, but just change those. And that's the opacity of it right there, and then right click and set it as your default. Okay. Now I've got another question that another person asked, but I want to show something else that Lewis asked earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this up. We're going to see if we can get a trade after the open. Let's give it 15 minutes after the open. All right. And let it go ahead and back up. It'll take just a moment. There we go. All right. And let's go to Russell instead. And get rid of this chart here. Bear with me a second. I'll get rid of this chart and we'll bring up Russell. I want to show you something here. Let me get the black chart up real quick too on Russell. And get rid of the predictors for a moment. Now, on this chart, on Russell, looking at the lines that are on the chart, okay, and see at the time, you were basically stair stepping up pretty nicely. Remember this right at the open where they tried to fake you long and everything? But look at your lines that are on the chart, for instance. These are lightning 3. So when this broke even 727.60 area, for sure when it broke 725.70, and absolutely positively for sure when it broke 1723.30, you were heading down. Okay? But you were actually starting to head down when you broke here. See that? So if you look to the left to trade the right, let's see, 1727.60 is over here, right in this area right here. See it? That's your lightning 3. And look where that broke. We just missed it. That's all there was to it. I mean, we were watching and watching, and it just literally blew through it. And it didn't give you any opportunity, even with our most minor rules, to get in that trade unless you took a breakout. Now, could you take a breakout? Yes. The way to do that is just simply watch these little consolidation patches, box it in, box it in, box it in, and there was no other box. Okay, so the only way to take this is to take the little breakout, don't let it go back to the top of the box, and take the trade. But remember what we waited for instead? Anybody? We waited for the pullback. Let's see if we can diagnose it and see if y'all can get that same pullback based on exactly the way we took it. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. We're going to take this off. We already know this thing has dropped like a stone. I'll draw the lightning 2. See there? Okay, that's lightning 2. Now, where is this going to retrace to? Anybody? Draw on your chart. There's resistance. Okay, there's resistance here. All right, and there's resistance right here. And let's see where they've checked. Let's just draw a little area and see where they've checked. All right, they checked here and went up. They haven't checked it on the way down, though, have they? They haven't thrust down below it and checked it. All right, so we've got little sweet areas, and I draw one right here, too, just in case. But now let's look at our actual chart and see where these areas are on our chart. And what we're going to do, let's just go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. bring it over here. And let's look at those same areas, and I'll draw the same lines on the chart. So we got 17, 20, 30. Roughly right there. It is exactly right there. All right, and then 17, 22, 30. Right about there. One more tick. All right, and then we'll even draw one at 17, 24. Which is up here a little ways. It ain't going that high, by the way. I'll tell you why. It's way above Phantom. See it? So if this is going to be a legitimate short trade, it's not going to change trends, right? It would be changing trends for sure if it took out Phantom. So we're going to take that one away. And we're going to take that one away. So now where's it heading? Anybody? Or here? It looks like it's almost already been here. So let's see if we didn't nail that. And just let it do its thing. Look at that. Like I said, within a couple of ticks or so, that's usually where you're going to get those. If it was right on the money every time, we'd all be, like I said, billionaires. But it won't be on the money. That's why we designed, well, Phantom trade that's going to come to you hopefully shortly. We're still waiting. But everybody see this? Now remember, we actually boxed this in the room like this and got a quick short and even a quick long, okay? That's not the way to trade that, though. Everybody know why on that? Because this is a short trend. I mean, you know, just looking at it, look over here to the left. I'll get rid of everything on here. We'll get rid of even lightning too. Is this actually stair stepping up? Yes or no? No. It might be stair stepping up here, but you got resistance here. So, you know, until it takes this out, right across here, you're not going up. Even if it takes this out and comes back and kisses it and then takes off, you're more than likely going to get a trend change. So this is a really important trade to look for, is this Phantom type trade. Now, if you're a little bit scared of it, then we did box this in the room. You know, this was a little fake, but it got you maybe a scalp if you didn't set it on close. I don't like close on little boxes. I'll usually do touch plus. So it may get you in at like touch plus 1 or 2. And if you go green and you all of a sudden go red, I just get out of it. If it closes back in that box, you're out. Okay? But if you shorted this, where we drew the box anyway, look what it actually did. And see, if you diagnose your charts correctly, you can get that little trade. We also called that trade, by the way. See how it came right back into that area right there? Everybody remember that trade? That turned out to be a monster trade, didn't it? So, let's go over one quick thing. I'm going to go back to this trade, and I'm going to show everybody how to do a maximum, because Lewis wanted to know how to do that. So I'm going to go back to 852-ish. We'll cheat. We have to, because we'd never get it with just turning on a chart. Believe me, it'd be like watching paint dry. We'll do it at about 833 is fine. 843, there we go. Let's let it go back. I'll show you a little thing we haven't talked about much on Object Trader, but you know, we get people that'll ask for these things. All right, so granted, we missed this trade right here, remember, because we didn't have our chart really diagnosed properly, because when it took out 1724, it was definitely heading down, wasn't it? Right here, you had a high, low, higher, high. Isn't that a trend change? Usually they'll pop down and they'll come back and kiss it. That's why we couldn't get that trade, because you had to take a breakout. All right, but let me show you Object Trader on a little cool feature that it's got. All right, we'll put it on the chart. And let's go ahead and just fast forward this to where we can get to that little Phantom trade. Now remember, we had that one, it was right at line 6. Okay. Now see where this is actually doing this right now. Now notice this minimum and maximum, maximum, plus and minus. Okay. This is like, for instance, this side is for the chart P&L. This is for your entire account. Okay. So let's say, for instance, if I wanted to draw down no more than $300, but I wanted to make, say, $600. Okay. I can even set it for a drawdown of, say, 15% or 20% or something like that. And Object Trader will automatically trail that, not with trail stops or anything, but with dollar amounts. So in other words, let's say that I short this right up here. Let's just go ahead and do like 4 so we can get all 4 targets. We know where the trade was. You know, it's a little cheating, but we called the trade too. I called it at Phantom this morning. All right, so I want to show you something here. Go ahead and let this thing do its thing. Now, if this gets to $600, then that's like a maximum for me. Or if I get to $300 down, then this will kill this trade. Okay. But since I've got a drawdown set on this, it won't kill me at $600. It'll only kill me if I draw down 15, 20, or whatever I set it at. Let's say that I set it at like 25 to give an example. All right. If I hit 600, it could draw back to 450 and I'd still be in the trade. If it then hit 700 and drew back 25%, see how that works? So it's like a trailing type of a drawdown, but with dollar amounts. So let's speed it up just a little bit and show you what I'm talking about. We'll just get this out of the way. We tried to put everything we could into Object Trader, but also not make it to where it was too difficult to use either. Show you a stealth trade. Yeah, let's just get rid of 2 of these. We'll go ahead and buy 2. I'll turn on stealth. Hopefully I can get it. Nope, I think I missed it. Stealth. See the red stealth right there? We missed it. We may get it again. We'll see. But it would have taken the trade on that bar right there, is what stealth does. Now let's see if we can get to $600 first, because it's got to get to the total before it starts using the drawdown. We might get a stealth after all. That should have added to my stealth just then. It did. Oh, well, no, I've got it set on 0. That should have added to my stealth. I don't know why it didn't. Probably because I've turned this back and forth. Anytime you're playing with replay, that'll happen. All right, now notice we're almost at 600. Now we're not. Let's see if we can get to 600. We'll go ahead and take 2 more just for the fun of it so we can get there. Now, when it gets to 600, now watch it as it goes higher. If it gets 25% of this taken away, it'll shut me off. It looks at the high. See, now it's at like 926, so that's going to be a pretty good drawback. See how it'll let you keep going higher because I let it have a 25% drawdown. Now, if that draws down 25% now, I'll be down to $750, which we'll just let it do it if it does it. Let's see if it'll kick us out. Yeah, see, there you go. He flattened because we drew down 25%. Now, does that mean this trade's over? No, this is just a dollar amount. But notice how that, that was up to about 10 something, and 25% of that was the drawdown that we were willing to let it have back. So that's a pretty cool little feature. I don't personally use it, mainly because, when you're in the room calling and everything like that, it's just another thing to use. But if you did use it, that's the way it works right there. All right. Now, what if, let's just do this on the other flip side. Let's do, for the fun of it, 5 contracts long and see if it'll get us to a max drawdown of $300. Maybe not, because we're way up to 685, but let's just see if we can. I'm going to buy it instead just to see if it will do it. And you'll see it draw. It'll shut off at $300 with a drawdown of 25%. Now keep in mind, you're not going long here. Oh, it's not letting me because we're at our total. See there? Our total, once you hit your total, you have to reset it. Okay? Now, the reason for that is because, see, we set a maximum of 600 and it's already at 8. So, if you use this down here, you got to remember things like that. Okay? Let's say, for instance, we were to go long up here. Let's back this up just one time and I'll show you what I'm talking about. That was 9 o'clock again, 8:43. That's good enough. And I'll show you, if you accidentally went long and said, I want a $300 drawdown, then it'll do that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get it to 8:52-ish. Remember, we know where the trade was because we drew our lines on our chart. All right, now let's just pretend instead we go, you know what, we're going to go long. Now keep in mind, we're not going long because this is a short background. But what I'm trying to show you is that you can protect yourself. Let's say you decided to go 4 contracts on this thing and you went long instead. All right. Now, when this gets to $300, and you can even put it at 0 on this, this will actually take me out. Let's just take the stop out of the way. Now, keep in mind, if you come in on this webinar looking at this, you'll go, wow, Gary took a long at a short. No, we're just trying to make it do it. Because we know when it hit Phantom that it rolled over, right? So what I'm trying to show you is that you can protect your coin. Okay, there it is. Now notice that you're coming down 40, 100, 160, 60, 20 again, 120. See there, it kicked you off. Even as fast as it was, it got you out at 360. See there how that works? It's a dollar amount. And if you do it on your account P&L instead, it'll actually see where it says chart P&L reached. That's your chart P&L reached right there. But we don't have it kick you out on account P&L, just on chart. The reason for that is because you're trading an individual chart. So see how I did that where you can get kicked out? You can just set that at your max you're willing to lose in the morning, and if it gets there, it'll take you out. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I agree with that, Lewis. These are things that we've added to this, simply because people had asked for it. Let's say that you walked away and, went for a walk or something like that and you had a trade on. Well, you could put this, max. Let's say, for instance, you were already, when you walked out of the house, you were already at like $900. Okay, you can just say, you know what, I'm willing to let that draw down no more than 15%, and you could walk out the door. And if it got to $1,200, it would only pull it out if it took 15% of the 12. So it's a good little feature like that. Do I use this? No, not really. Mainly because you're just busy enough doing the other stuff. It's in there though, so you can use it. Now, let's see, Paul, you did see a stealth trade, right? The way a stealth trade actually works is you choose stealth. You simply set your short or whichever you're going to do. And if it closes above stealth, see, this is actually my stealth here. If I have this on 0, then it should take the very next stealth. Now, as much as I've played with this, I don't know if it will, because I was starting to get some errors on stealth on my log. And that's because it's an MTF stealth. And it's saying, what are you doing? Yeah, see, that went red and it didn't fire. So I think we're just having stealth problems. But I had yellow things coming up saying, here it is right here, as a matter of fact. Let me just show it to you. See here. Error on calling on-bar update on stealth. That's because we're going back and forth with market replay. And if you get an error like that, it won't even show up on your chart. So it didn't take the trade. Now, it would if I reset Object Trader. You just have to go in here, remove it, apply, put it back on, and you'd be good to go. Okay. Now, notice, though, that Stealth is giving some problems with this replay. And again, like I said, it's more than likely because we just keep backing it up and everything else. Anytime you get errors on your log like this, see there, you're getting errors on your log. And the reason for that is because stealth is MTF, which means it's multiple tick frame, and we keep slowing it down, speeding it up, and everything else, and it's saying, what are you doing? So on bar update method for indicator so-and-so, on bar 20, you're accessing an out of the range type thing. So, you know, it won't happen in your real-time trading, but it will definitely happen on market replay. Okay, anybody have any questions? I know I went about 10 minutes over. I saw Charles went an hour and a half on Saturday, though. He was long-winded on Saturday. He got things done. All right, anybody have any final questions before we wrap? We'll even talk about this more. A time trader trade. I can do that. You want to do a time trader trade? We will do a time trader trade, and let's just do this one right here. See, that's 759. I'll show you how to do that. Oh, and I also told one other person that's not here tonight, and I'll do this for him too. If you want to change your template, you know, a lot of people don't like the particular parameters that are on every chart to be the same. Does it work within Ninja 8? Geraldo, on your question, no, not on Object Trader yet. We do have the indicators just about available. Matter of fact, they're on our website right now. We haven't sent out an email of how to install them because I think everybody's waiting on Object Trader. But anyway, let me go over this trade real quick for the person that was asking me to do this. I promised him since I recorded this and he was gone. So what you're going to do, if you want to change any parameters on here that are, you know, like for instance, let's say that I wanted to trade, you know, instead of target 1 of 15 and target 2 of 20 and target 3 of 30 and 40, but I don't want to mess up my default, I can save a template. So what I do is just simply set this. Let's say that I wanted, I don't know, let's say 7, and I wanted 9, and maybe I wanted 12, and maybe I wanted just 15. I don't have to change my total on this. All I have to do is go down here to my template right here and save it, and like call it my scalper, for instance. Scalder. All right, scaper. All right, scalper. So by calling it that, then I apply it. This is going to automatically have my new 7, 9, 12, and 15. Okay, that's my new scalper template, and I can change anything in here that I want. Okay, but if I do want to go back to the regular default, all I have to do is take Object Trader off, apply as false, okay? And instead of using that template, I'm not going to load that template. I'm just going to load the original. So I just simply click OK. Whoop, forgot to take it off first. Bear with me a second. You got to remove it first, apply, and then put Object Trader back on. Now your template's not on the chart anymore, and you're back to 15, 20, 30, and 40, which is what I've got my default set at. Everybody see how to do your templates? You can do as many templates as you want. It's real easy to do. Just go in here to your template. Any of your saved templates, you simply save it. You can remove a template. You know, it's got a drop down on it. See scalpers right there. I can remove it. I can add more templates if I want. You know, let's say that you wanted one for oil and you wanted to trade, you know, a max of 6 contracts, but you wanted to do 3 interval or 2 interval, for instance. That would do 2 each time, and then you just simply tell it you want that as your oil template. Just save it as oil, and it'll remember that when you hit enter. And then when you put it on your chart, you're going to notice that basically when you fire up your trade, let me see if I did that right. Just a second. Bear with me 1 second. See what I saved here. Quantity interval. Oh, 1. If I put 2 here, sorry about that. Let's save that again. we'll save it as CL, and then we'll load it. You'll notice that your quantity will be 2, and if I was to actually fire 2, see, it'll do 2 each time instead of 1 the next time. It's just a quantity type deal is what that is. Oh, we got a trade even. Okay, and let's see, what was the next question? Time trader. Time trader, what you want to do on that, let's just go ahead and do the open real quick, and we'll take both trades, long and short. Let's back it up to 8:30 is fine. We'll do it at 8:30. Bear with it just a second. Should be right in this area. I'll show you how to do time trader. Hey, no problem, Louis. Anybody has questions, by the way, you can send them on email and things like that, and I'll make it for sure that I talk about it in the webinar, okay? So let's see here. To do time trader, you just go to strategy, disable it, and then what you want to do is go up to your time trader settings, and we're on September 17th. What's today? 7:59 would be the little clock. And if we're going to set this one at like 8:35, and let's see, we're at 8:29 right now. So if we turn on time trader, we just simply make sure that we put our strategy on first. Hopefully I can do this before. All right, and then go to time trader, and we'll do long and short. And if this gets to 8:35, you should get a little box. And let's go, yeah, 2 contracts is fine. Okay, 8:34, and it has to close a bar. Well, let's see, just a second. What did I do? Oh, 5:02. No wonder. May 2nd won't cut it. All right. So let's go ahead and do the one that happened at like 8:55. We know when that one happened too. I'll just set it as a time. All right. So let's go to time trader. Got to make sure your dates are right. Go to time trader. See where my May 2nd. That wasn't looking at May 2nd. Let's go to let's go to 8:54, and we'll do it for 9:17, and you'll see that at 8:54. Let's see if I can get that strategy set on there. True, and do time trade. And we're only looking for shorts, so we could actually turn it on time trade like that. Let's just see if the box will draw, and watch the little timer right here. 8:52, 8:53, there's 8:54. See when it pops out of the box? See there? That's how time trader works. It just draws a region, is what it does. It draws a region at exactly the time that you set it for, but it has to close a bar. Okay? Now, when it draws, keep in mind that if this would have drawn back here, you could have easily moved it in real time right up here and actually gotten the trade at Phantom too. Can you show real quick how to change month on an instrument? Yeah, that's real easy. Just go to Tools, Instrument Manager. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Well, I'll move it and then go back to it. Get it out of the way. Tools, Instrument Manager, Lewis. Now on Ninja 8 it's different, but let's say for instance that you had NQ, let's just pretend you had it at, instead of 12:18 you had it at 9:18, okay? I'll put it in there. See where NQ is at 9:18. Okay, to change that, all you have to do is click on the instrument. When you put it into the deal with the right arrow, it's going to automatically come up with the right date. And then you just simply do the left arrow and it brings it to 12. Okay? So it's that easy. Like oil, to give an example, oil changed today. So oil, click on oil, right, 11:18 left. See how it's 11:18 now? And then you just simply click OK. Don't cancel it or it will cancel what you just did. Okay? I hope this helped everybody. This wasn't as much about, well, quite a bit about teaching about how to see the trades, obviously, at the first of the webinar. But remember, if you'll draw on your charts, you're going to be pretty amazed at where you're going to see these trade setups. Because these lightning threes are definitely, they're fib numbers, they're good support and resistance numbers. And if you draw on your charts and are willing to take the trade within a couple to 3 ticks of them, they work out pretty good. Okay? I hope that helped everybody out. And we're going to be working, by the way, on stealth. What I want stealth to actually be able to do is I want stealth to be able to draw in real time from Object Trader. And if, for instance, let's say that this has already dropped like this, I want to be able to shrink that stealth in and be able to take an automatic trade the moment it's breached again. You know, because there's no sense, for instance, if you missed this trade up here, there was plenty of opportunities. Here's one here, here's one here, here's one here. That one wasn't, that one is, that one is. Everybody sees that, right? You know, we look for a minimum criteria on a short of line 2 and a break of stealth with a close bar. There's your close bar. And then you can actually box it at that point or take it when it comes back below line 2. Okay? And the same thing on a long. You know, if you were looking at the long side of it, let's see if we can find it. There we go. All right. This one never broke stealth, never broke stealth. That one actually almost did, but see, it didn't quite. It didn't close below it, so that wasn't a good enough pullback. This one actually did right here, and you would have boxed it for a phantom. Okay? So just remember when you're looking for these shallow retracements, just like, let's say if you missed this here, then you've got to wait for the thrust and you got to get this little pullback, get that trade. Pull back above line 2, get that trade. Okay? And they'll finally quit working, obviously. But if you draw on your charts, you're going to figure out where they're going to go long to. Okay, I hope it helped everyone. Thanks for coming. We ran it a little bit long. I appreciate everybody with patience. And if anybody missed a question, ask in the morning and I'll be happy to go over it too. Okay? Thanks everyone. Have a good evening.